Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today. If this is your first time here, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. It really does help us little YouTube channels out. For all of you coming back, welcome back, and thank you so much for being part of this community. I really appreciate all of your inputs and your positive words and your questions and your suggestions. It all means the world to me. So thank you so much for being back and continuing to be part of this family. So today we are going to talk about part 2 of Beginning Tarot. If you have not seen the first video, I do recommend checking that out first. I did give some suggestions of tarot decks at the end of the last video. So if you haven't picked any up, that's fine. Just follow along. This is the Rider-Waite tarot deck that I have talked to you about in the last video. Now, I have had people ask, what is the process that you do before you even start reading? So people do many different things, and I say whatever you feel is correct. I don't like necessarily copying off of what other people do. However, to give you some suggestions, many people do like saging. Sage is a sacred herb. This is something that people use to cleanse decks, but also to cleanse areas themselves and any animals around. So very simple. You just kind of wave the smoke, and I don't know if the camera is actually going to pick up the smoke or not. And then I know you can't see it, but Moki's right here and Sunny's right here. And then we give ourselves a little smoke here. And then I will just let this keep burning while I do a reading. So if you're not familiar with Sage, there's many different websites out there that have a lot of information. Definitely go check it out. Other people like to pray. They like to talk to their spirit guides. They like to imagine a white circle of protection around them. Um, I don't necessarily do any of that. I don't mean to be, rude. I don't want to myth off any of my spirit guides or anything, but I feel like we are in a partnership and we work together. So I usually thank them after I do a reading, but I've never really started before, like started a reading with a commentary or a conversation with them. But what I do, and again, this is just something that Lisa personally does, and you don't necessarily have to copy off of, is every reading I do. So every reading, not just at the beginning of the day, but every single reading, I take my tarot deck card, hold it like this, and knock on it 3 times. That is something that gets rid of the negativity. It also calls yourself and the cards to attention. This is something that subconsciously happens to you when you practice something like this. It gets your mind into a certain space that's saying, this reading is over now, and I'm going to concentrate on the next one. It's also symbolically knocking off any of the energy that was attached to your last reading, positive or negative. So that is something I do every single read. Reading tarot is an art. Reading tarot is something that people use as a tool or people use for entertainment. I don't need a tarot deck to do a reading. I like having them to validate myself, but also to keep me focused. And yes, there are times that cards tell me something that I don't necessarily go into the reading knowing, or I find out later when I am in the reading and I see a particular picture and I mention something to the person I am reading to, and they will validate that to me. So it's also a way to help me concentrate because my mind wanders a lot. Moki. Remember, you are a messenger. When you are doing tarot card readings, you're a messenger of truth. You tell people whatever you see, however you see it. There is no lies when it comes to tarot. There is only interpretation. Your interpretation could be inaccurate. You're human. That's going to happen. But just because your interpretation may have been not accurate, inaccurate, that does not mean that you lied or you were wrong. You might catch a moment in time. This is one of the hardest things for a tarot card reader or any readers to realize is it's not on demand. Any readings, any channeling, or anything like that, it's not on demand. You may want to sit down with a reader and they ask you, well, how's Gran doing? She's been gone for 3 years and yada, yada, yada. You start pulling a cards and it has nothing to do with Gran. It actually has to do with her son or something else. The thing is, the cards are going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. It's very hard to keep that in mind, both as yourself, as the tarot card reader, and the person you are reading to, because it can get frustrating. There are times that, yeah, you just want to be able to give the answer of how Gran is doing. I don't want to know about this other stuff and what it means. It can get a little frustrating. But remember, you are just a messenger. You are interpreting to the best of your abilities the things that you see in the cards and your intuition. Last video, I asked you to do a journal where you take a look at every single one of your cards and journal the emotions that you feel when you see this card. The more that you get comfortable with your own deck, the better your readings are going to be. You can associate something completely different in these cards than are in the little books that come along or the little guides. I actually have this handy dandy little guide here that was gifted to me. This has all 77 cards on there. And this was gifted to me by a good friend of mine that I'm very happy to have. It's nice to refer to, but remember, cards are a story. You are visually doing storytelling. Get an association with a card that has nothing to do with the official synopsis of what it could mean. It's just a guide. These are just guides for you to have to help you along in your tarot card readings. You might read a card, you might grab a card. I'm just going to pick one. And okay, this is the Four of Pentacles. So you might look at this and see the official reading is mostly money. I see this guy who is stomping on his plans, has money on his mind, and at the center of him all is money. And he is outside the city, so that means that he is not necessarily connected with anyone or anything except himself. He's very selfish. This card actually reminds me of a very particular person, and I won't say who, but it does remind me of a particular person. So when I see this card in a reading, I usually think of that particular person and use the other cards in context to see if it is a selfish card. Yeah, so there's that. Definitely use your cards in a context as a story to see what you're coming up with. Now, as far as learning the meanings of these cards, don't try to memorize them. I want you to be familiar with the cards, not the meanings. You come up with your own meanings. You feel the cards out. And when you practice and practice and practice and practice, you're going to start to be able to understand what these cards mean to you. No chart, no book, nothing will be able to tell you what your instincts connect with these cards. Well, these books and these different channels and these guides are completely valid and they are good to study. It doesn't mean it's going to connect with you. I don't necessarily connect with the meanings of these cards through the guide. I connect via self. When you get a reading, the first thing you want to do after you do whatever you do to make yourself feel like it's time to do a reading, whether that's lighting sage or lighting a candle, I want you to focus, singularly focus on your question at hand. Now, there are people who have many different feelings about the validity of doing self readings. Monkey scratching or something. My thought process on that is it is extremely hard to do readings for yourself because you have a bias whether you want it or not. Now, doing a reading for yourself for practice without really holding in high regards what the answers are going to be, I think that will help you. It's absolutely fine to practice by doing self readings and also maybe doing some for your friends, your family, whoever. You can even do them for your animals. If you believe it or not, there are people who do readings and things for animals. Why not? It's practice. Practice, practice, practice. And if the only person that you can practice with is you, okay, just don't take it too seriously because you will have a bias. You know, you're not just going to be like, oh my gosh, does this guy like me? And draw the tower card and then realize everything is, destroyed and your life sucks and you're gonna go down a barrel. But when somebody else pulls this card for you for your love life, they're gonna tell you that you're gonna go through a period of self-discovery and it's going to be very difficult, but you're going to have to get through that in order to be able to be the best version of yourself. That's a lot better than just being like, wah! You're going to be biased for yourself. Definitely. I want you also to really think about reading cards forward or reversed. I do not read reversed cards. There are several reasons for that, which we'll go over. Like two. The first one is there are already enough cards in the deck that are negative. Negative doesn't always mean bad. Everything is not literal. Death is not literal, but it can be. There's enough in the deck already. And you can use context when you were doing reading and the cards around to see if it is a negative or a positive thing. The other reason I don't read reverse cards is because time is not linear. And I say this a lot, but I want people to understand that every possibility is happening at once. What you say is correct for the moment, but people are able to change and able to make up their own minds. While you may say something to them, for example, don't go back to that ex because they're terrible, they have a choice and they might end up going back to that ex. When you're reading the cards, you're going to see possibilities that could happen if they decide to go down this path. Life is changing every single moment. So all possibilities are real. So it's almost like having, being nerdy, um, different timelines, alternative universes, things like that. The power of thought. Um, that's all connected. I don't think reading a reverse card is necessary when everything is both positive and negative at all times. It's just in the context of your current reading. I know that's hard for people to kind of grasp, but it, for me, it's really based off of the life cycle is not straight. It's a circle. You are in a cycle of life. You're in the circle of life. And it moves us all. Okay, I don't want to get copyright strike for that. You can do a daily card spread. This is something that I suggest doing when you are starting off, is one a day card. Now, a lot of people do this first thing in the morning, after their cup of coffee, after their meditation, whatever they do in the morning. And the part of their routine is picking one card and using that card as just kind of either something to meditate on or something that will give them a basis of how their day is going to be. I suggest that you do this every day for 2 weeks, because this will help you get used to the cards. This will also help you have a self reading. Um, I keep getting the Tower card. Apparently, my life is going to be imbalanced here in a little bit. But um, you may find when you are shuffling your cards, and I am by no means an expert, and I would like to get one of those card shuffling things that you see in like commercials and television shows for Vegas, because I cannot shuffle worth poop. Okay. But while you are shuffling, if a card falls out, that's your card. You want to pick up that card and pay attention to it. It is popped out of the pile for a reason. So if a card pops out and you are doing a card of a day, use that as your day. If you are doing a reading, make it part of your reading. No matter where you are in the reading, make it part of the reading. So the sun just popped out for me. That's going to be my card of the day. So the literal meaning of the sun is, it's a power source. It lights our way. It brings us energy. There is a child on the back of a horse that is like new life. The color red is there, which is a lot of religious colors. I really do a lot of study on religion and colors and things like that. The sunflowers represents Native Americans. I am part Chihuahua Nation, and my name is Fire Dancer. Fire Dancer, sun, hot. So if I got this card, I would say this is a day where I need to focus on myself and honoring my power and my spirit. I honor my ancestors. So if I got this card, that's what I would concentrate on. Um, so that's definitely an assignment that I want to give you, is to do one card draw a day for yourself in a time that is comfortable for you. Now, this could be something that you do before bed. This could be something that you want to concentrate on overnight. Once a day, draw a card of the day and see what it means to you. It could mean feed your cat. It's going to start with a card of the day. I think showing you other spreads right now is a lot. And I know other channels do their steps very quickly, but for me, I want people to actually be comfortable with the cards, with Tara, and with understanding that a lot of it comes from yourself. From now until I see you again in a week beyond that, do one card a day, pull out your card. You can even keep a journal and write down. So that might help you see a pattern. It also might help you get an association with these cards. So we will do some actual spreads next time, but the card of the day is going to be something that's going to help you really get a grasp of the cards, the meanings, and maybe even seeing patterns in your life. I really want you to pay attention to repetition in the cards. Are you constantly seeing water? Are you seeing animals? Are you seeing a certain color over and over again? Study the cards. And then at the end of the week, see if that was correct. All right, everybody, I will be back for part 3 next time. Until then, remember every single day is a gift, and I will see you later. Bye.